Good evening. My name is Jeff Hunt. Just to summarize what Sherilyn just said, you're going to get access to a lot less, and it's going to cost you a lot more. I thank Sherilyn for her comments, for the efforts of the league in opposing the bill. I thank Kim for his very good comments. I'm very attached to this law. They say when you lose a loved one, you go through different stages of grief. You start out with denial, you move on to anger, and then you go to acceptance. Well, I experienced denial, I'm stuck at anger, and I'm not going to get to acceptance. This statute is one of those foundational statutes that governs the relationship between the people and the government. Okay? It's like the Constitution. It's like our federal Constitution and our state Constitution. The Sunshine Laws are like that because they are structural in nature. They are. If they break down, then the whole system of self-governance breaks down. That's why I'm so attached to the Open Meetings Act. That's why I'm so attached to GRAMA. That's why I went into media law and became a lawyer 20 years ago, was to fight for statutes like this, the right of the people to know what its government is doing. And it's just really hard for me to see what happened here. And I want to give you some context for what happened. So I think it's really important that all of you understand what happened. And then I'm going to give you some ammunition so that you are educated a little bit about some of the privacy issues that were touted by the proponents as the reason that we need this law. And I won't say that they sold the public a bill of goods on that, because they didn't try to sell the public on this law. Okay? They just crammed it down your throats. They didn't try to sell you on it. That was a big problem. So I did work in 1992 in drafting the statute, and every year since there has been a bill on GRAMA, and every single bill, guess what? It's not to make things more open, okay? It's always to add another exemption, or to exempt an entire department out of the statute, or to allow government to impose more fees and costs, okay? And so my job for the last 20 years, representing the news media, news organizations, journalists, and open government advocates, has been to go up there and to fight those bills. And we have been amazingly successful year after year in doing that. We have lost some battles, but we have prevented, a major gutting of the statute. And year after year, and I would say in the last 5 years, we have gone up there and we have defeated things like reversing the presumption of access, allowing government to charge prohibitive fees and costs to access records, exempting the legislature out of large portions of GRAMA, exempting legislator communications with constituents. These are bills that were run year after year after year. And the problem was, they came out early enough in the session where we could see them and mobilize support and go up there and testify about them and then get the word out. And those bills were defeated, for the most part. They were, the major bills that would do damage were defeated because they came out early enough in the session that either leadership realized that this is going to be an embarrassment, or the public had got onto them and they created enough public pressure to kill those bills, either at the committee stage or at on the floor of the House or Senate. We defeated those bills. They learned that lesson. Okay? They understood that if this would be subjected to the usual legislative process, that this would never pass. It would never pass. And so what they did, and this is my view, what they did was some legislators, and I think it has to include leadership, and some lawyers in the legislature, nursed those grievances year after year after year, and they saved them all up. And they dumped them all into this bill. And they unleashed it on the public, on the very last day that you could get a committee hearing. They passed it from House and Senate within 72 hours. It was law. And I testified at both of those committee hearings. And I'm a lawyer. I'm used to not being liked. Okay? That's not new territory for me. But the sense of contempt and disdain for the people who spoke against this bill was palpable in the rooms. It was something that I had not experienced in 20 years of testifying up there. This was a railroad running down the track. No one was going to stop it, and it didn't matter what anybody said. And that to me was you know, disheartening. It made me angry. It made me realize that they knew that if they played by the rules, that this thing would never get passed. And so they decided not to play by the rules and just jam it out. And that's the problem I have with the task force and the working group, is that it legitimizes that process. You know, you're starting